So in the first video, we talked about the actual deck for the canasta, and we talked about the point values for the different cards in the canasta game. Now we're going to talk about terminology that you'll come across in the game that's helpful to know before you start to use to play the game. So at the moment, I have Meld in front of you on the board. They are all what are called natural melds, meaning they do not have any wild cards. None of the cards that you see on the table right now have a wild card in them. The minimum number of cards you can have in a meld is 3. So here is the minimum number of cards in a meld. You can have 4, 5. When you have 6 cards in a meld, we typically turn the 6th one so our partner is aware that we only need one more card to make a canasta. And here is a full canasta with 7 cards. A canasta is 7 cards, no more, no less. So there is potentially leftover cards. There's always at least one leftover card. In canasta, we frequently refer to all of these different cards as ranks. So I have a canasta for the rank of jacks. This is the rank of 5s, ranks of 6s, rank of queens. It's just easier to say rank. Now, once you make a canasta, once your partnership creates a canasta, because remember we're talking about the 4-person partnership canasta, whoever is maintaining the meld, and we'll get into all of these different things in subsequent videos. This is focusing on terminology. Once you make a canasta, which is 7 cards of a rank, you do what's called booking it up or closing it up. So you pile them all on top of each other. And the suits in canasta don't matter. The only thing that matters is this is jacks. And because there are no wilds in it, I'm going to put a red card on top. And I'm going to place it just closed on our side. And we're going to leave everything else still open because it's not a closed canasta. Now the reason why we close them up is because then it helps to visually clear the field some. So these are all natural canastas. They have no wilds in them. The wild cards in canasta, if you recall, are the jokers and the 2s. So we're going to change these over to use some wild cards. If I take away one of these and I add a wild, that is a meld, because that joker takes on whatever the rank it's put with. Jokers and 2s are wild. Let's talk a little bit about how many wilds are allowed and what configuration you're allowed to have. In a meld of 3, you are only allowed 1 wild. Wilds are never allowed to outnumber the naturals. Wilds can never outnumber the naturals. In a rank of 4, you could have 1 wild card, and that is a valid meld. And depending on your table rules, you need to discuss this ahead of time, they may allow 2 wild cards with 2 naturals. Because technically, it does say that you're not allowed to have more wilds than you have naturals. So in this particular case, you have equal. I have to tell you, for beginners, I let them do this. I let them do equals. As we play more and more, you tighten the rules. And then you say, you know what, we're not going to allow that anymore. Your wilds cannot equal your naturals. Let's talk about 5. So in this one, I could have 1 natural, 1 wild, or I could have 2 wilds. You don't have to have the same wilds. It doesn't matter. A wild is a wild. What does matter with the wilds is the amount of points they give you at the end. Jokers give you 50 points and 2s give you 20. This one does not have any wilds yet. And if we want to, we could put 1 or 2. I'm going to put in 1. Now usually, once I get to 6, I don't typically like to have the wild at the bottom. I like to have one of the naturals, one of the actual ranks here at the bottom, because I think it just helps my partner. Because remember, your partner is sitting across the table from you. So it's a little bit harder for them to see what kind of a rank it is. So if you get in the habit of keeping what type of rank it is at the bottom, you can put the wilds sort of up in there. You are never allowed to have more than 2 wilds in any given rank. So this 6's has met its maximum wilds because there are 2 wild cards in that rank already. The only way we can close that canasta, we can finish that canasta, is with a 6. It doesn't matter what suit the 6 is, but it has to be a 6. We can't add a 3rd wild card onto it to finish it. Here, we're going to just add 1 wild. Doesn't matter. Now, this wild finished this rank of jacks. Again, we have 7. So because we have 7, we're going to close it up. We're going to book it. And last time, because it had no wilds, we put a red of the rank on top. Since there is a wild card, 1 or 2, it doesn't matter. Once there's a wild, you put a black on top. You put a club or a spade on top. Then you crisscross it. So here I have a closed canasta of jacks. And I know that it has a wild because a club or a spade are on top. Here, one, two, three, four, five, six, 7. I have natural 5 canasta. I have 7 5s. There are no wilds. It's a natural. I book it up. I put a red, so either a heart or a diamond goes on top, and I crisscross it on top of the other one so that I'm marching all of my canastas so that everybody can see what canastas are what are called closed. Because once you close a canasta, once a rank is finished, all of that card rank are now dead. You can't use them anymore. So we've talked about meld. We've talked about minimum meld and maximum melds. The maximum meld is 7 because it's a canasta. And we've talked about booking them up and putting a red on top if your canasta contains no wilds, and putting a black card on top in case if your canasta contains 1 or 2 wilds. Remember, you can't have more than 2 wilds in a canasta. Part of why we close these up like this is for scoring at the end. And I'll just tell you that canasta, we have bonus points. Whenever your partnership gets a canasta, at the end of the hand, you'll get bonus points. You get 500 bonus points for a red canasta, and you get 300 bonus points for a black canasta. You also get the value of the cards within the canasta, but we'll talk about that in the scoring video.